It's International Women's Day, and this year's theme is gender parity. Certain industries are known to be male-dominated: technology, science, engineering, just to name a few.
But some women have shown it's possible to thrive in places typically considered to be a man's world. First Look Asia had the privilege of meeting one such trailblazer.
Captain Nah Jin Ping is Singapore's first and only female F-15 fighter pilot. But that's not the only feather in the cap of this trailblazing 29-year-old. She also graduated top of her class in 2014.
I think topping the class was just a happy consequence of my character. I'm kind of like a type A personality, so I don't really like to lose. So when given a task, then I'll just try and put in my best.
And she says her go-getter personality helps her adapt quickly in an environment where things can change at a moment's notice.
So the day can start anywhere from 5 AM to about 11 AM, depending on mission requirements, whether we are flying night, whether there's airspace for us to fly in. So it's mission dependent. And every day is unique with its different challenges, but the only constant every day is the flying itself. So for flying wise, then we have to do our mission preparation. We have to brief, fly, come back down, then we still have to debrief, so that you will learn from the entire flight.
If you see this is a green light queue, a 4 aspect, 3 to 4 aspect. And what you see is a square jet for a rotational line of sight into a translational line of sight. So this is the cue for you to get into your break turn.
I enjoy the flying. The flying is not easy, it's tough, and people demand a lot from you. So every time when you fly, your flight supervisors will be really critical of you and tell you the areas that you need to improve on. So very often after flight, you kind of feel a bit dejected, because you know that you can be better, you know that you can improve. But yet, after having gone through like 2 years of flying training, then that is the one thing that I enjoy the most, because seeing myself starting out from nothing to training to what I am today gives me that sense of fulfillment. Initially, when I first joined the RSAF and signed on to be a fighter pilot, then I was quite intimidated by the thought of entering a male-dominated environment, and I was afraid that people would discriminate me, treat me differently, and be mean, you know, because they're not used to seeing a female fighter pilot. I was quite apprehensive. Having spent like 4 years in service, then I dare say that my worries were unfounded. And SAF, as the organization, have been increasing their recruitment efforts for female soldiers. And for myself, they actually provide equal opportunities for myself and my male counterparts based on our merit. Coming to work, it's like coming back to my family and being in the midst of my brothers and my family. And they don't really treat me any differently, so I actually don't feel any special.
But as the only sister in this family of fighter pilots, Captain Nah faces a unique set of challenges.
I would say being a fighter pilot is actually physically quite demanding. So when we fly, we have to fight, and when we fight, we have to pull Gs. So pulling Gs, okay, so where we are now is like a 1G environment. So in the aircraft, then we can pull up to 9 Gs. So that's 9 times of your body weight. So imagine like if this is, you lift up your hand, this is a 1G weight. But imagine 9 times of the weight on your hand and you're trying to lift your hand up. So that's the amount of stress that your body goes through in flight. So I found it quite physically demanding for my type of petite skeletal structure.
But she also thinks there's a special strength that comes from being a woman.
I think that I might be more successful in the relating to other people portion. So less of a flying aspect, but more of a people-to-people relationship type of deal. So, you know, guys, they kind of tend to be a bit more rowdy, and girls tend to be a bit more emotional and like care for your feelings type. So I feel that sometimes I'm able to kind of relate to people more.
So why aren't there more women who are drawn to this profession right now?
I think that they are not really clear about what the profession really is, and they think that the profession equals to what the boys go through during national service, which is BMT and jungle survival type of training. But truth is, joining the RSCF, since I stepped into the RSCF, I've never actually had to pitch a tent, for example. So I think that most girls kind of have this misconception about what our profession really is. For example, the different services are very different by nature. So if you join the army, then expect a lot of in-field training. But in the Air Force, we don't conduct most of our training, at least for my profession, being a fighter pilot, we don't conduct our training in the jungle, for example. So for my training, they actually sent me to Australia to train, and thereafter to the US Air Force to train with our US counterparts. So each vocation is quite different in that aspect. So they will have to talk to the vocation-specific officer to then know truly what it means to be a fighter pilot, for example.
And that's precisely what she did at a scholarship fair after graduating from junior college.
I went on to speak to the recruitment officers at the SAF booth, and my first point of contact was a pilot recruitment officer. So being fascinated by aeroplanes since I was a kid, then we went into this lengthy conversation about how it is like being a pilot, a fighter pilot, and eventually he brought me to Youth Flying Club to fly the Piper Warrior, and then after that I decided that, hey, this is for me, man.
So what would she say to girls who aspire to be Singapore's next female F-15 fighter pilot?
I would tell them that the job is very demanding, and that they have to be prepared to put in the long hours that you need to become a competent fighter pilot. But the fulfillment that you get from doing everything that we do, protecting Singapore, serving the nation, more than makes up for it. So that's one thing. The second thing that I would tell them is that if they were to join the profession, then the military is a people's organization, and without the people, the military is nothing. So it's not just about being smart or wanting to succeed. It's about having the heart for people. It's about caring for your men.
As a pioneer in her field, what's the next altitude that Captain Nah intends to soar to in her career?
Personally, I want to be a competent fighter pilot. Then where I go in the end, I'm sure the organization will have a place for me.
Well, based on this fighter's track record, it's just a matter of time till her sky-high aspirations come true.
Oh my goodness,
Wow.
she is tough.
Lance and I were silent during that entire package listening to her.
She's a tough girl, that one.
It's so inspiring.
9 Gs, you know,
Yeah.
goodness gracious.
That footage of her inside the jet made
No,
me feel
very,
a bit
very
sick.
impressive. Very, very impressive. Now, obviously, she's a trailblazer, and hopefully we'll see more women following in her footsteps as she takes to the skies, and hopefully more people will join her, especially women.
It was nice of her talking about how the men that she works with, they treat her the same.
I think that's important as well, because, you know, as long as you're competent, you can do the job, people should just respect you for that. Now, I've got a quote from Margaret Thatcher as well, who passed away quite recently, the British Prime Minister, and this is to do with International Women's Day. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. So there you go, huh? A few interesting quotes as well, so you'll be able to find a few more if you just Google something.
Well, she's a great example, too, of how your attitude can really determine your altitude.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, you put your mind to it, male or female.
Nicely said, Teresa, very nicely said. Now, here's wishing all our female viewers a very happy International Women's Day today. Enjoy it.
And on that note, we're done for today, Tuesday, the 8th of March.
Join us again tomorrow for your regular dose of world, business, and sports news.
And remember, if you've missed any of our interviews, any of our shows or packages, you can just head to our website. The address is channelnewsasia.com/firstlook.